Hi, welcome to anglos.co.il. Today in the studio we have Eva Perez from EP Mortgage and Banking Consulting. Eva, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here, we really appreciate it. Eva, you've had many years of experience working with Olim and people abroad in terms of getting mortgages, buying homes in Israel. Can you maybe to start tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience in the mortgage industry?
Yeah. So I used to work in a bank, in an Israeli bank, for 17 years. I left the bank 15 years ago because I saw there is a need to get and to give good services to foreign citizens and Olim Hadashim that wants to purchase properties in Israel. And as a banker, I felt they have a big trouble to get the mortgage. So I've decided to leave the bank and I opened my office, EP Mortgage. And since then, I work mostly with foreign citizens and Olim Hadashim, and some foreign citizen that wants to make Aliyah, and it's very important to understand the step that they should do before they make the Aliyah. So this is most of my clients.
Great.
Yeah.
For somebody in your industry, what is the benefit to use a mortgage broker, to use somebody like yourself? Why would I, either as an Ole or somebody abroad, what benefits can I get from using somebody like yourself?
Okay, so the benefit for a mortgage broker is not only for foreign citizens and Olim Hadashim, also Israelis that speak Hebrew very well use my services.
Yes.
The benefit is, first of all, my banker experience. I have a lot of experience. I know what the bank wants, what the bank needs, what kind of documents, and I can supply it easily. I work with all the banks. I have contact with all the banks. It can take me sometimes one day to get an approval because this is my work, this is what I do. I update every day about the interest rate. Yes. I know what's good in each bank, so I know where to go. And also, since I have a large quantity of clients,
yes.
It will influence directly the interest rate that my client will get.
So you've got a bit more pull at the bank.
Exactly.
Okay.
My pool is very big.
Okay.
So I can get a very good interest rate. And also, since I'm very professional in the field of foreign citizen and Olim Hadashim, bankers like to work with me because they know that when I come, I give a file that is ready to get an approval.
Right.
Now, a client, if he wants to go directly to the bank, he can. But then he cannot just knock on the door like in the past. He has to have a meeting. Sometimes a meeting can take like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. Right. And if you want to buy property and you're anxious to go on with the deal, you can be stuck because of the mortgage.
Gotcha.
So first of all, if you're Ole Hadash and you're in Israel, okay, maybe you can do it.
Yes.
But if you're abroad, if you're a foreign citizen and you saw something and you want to get the mortgage, surely you should go through a mortgage broker.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I guess for our purposes, especially English-speaking Olim, one of the questions we would normally ask is, are there banks that would be able to help me because I'm an English speaker? I don't either to read long documents in Hebrew or to have meetings in Hebrew would be very difficult. So we would tend to look for banks that are more helpful in English. But I suppose having somebody like yourself as an intermediary would be another benefit of using somebody.
Exactly. Now, first of all, I speak English, so I can speak with the client.
Yes.
And understand his needs, his financial needs. When you speak about money, it's very important to understand the language, the issue, and to have all the questions, because things are different from one country to another.
Right.
The mentality, the bank mentality here is different. So you might be able to find English speaker in banks. But good luck in really finding them when you need them.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult. And what's more important is that I'm in the middle between the client and the bank. With the client, I can speak English. With the bank, I can speak the banker language,
right,
which is more important,
right,
to know the banker language. So
and you would obviously help the people with, you know, going through documentation, which would obviously not be in English, which would be in Hebrew. You would go through it and explain it to them, which is a big benefit, because, you know, to find somebody to take the time to go through all their documents can be quite a lot of work and trouble.
Yes, and it's also helping the client to plan his financial situation to the next 20, 30 years.
Absolutely.
You want to purchase a property, but you want to do it right. You don't want to have a big house, but no liquid money.
Right.
So you don't know how the regular system, the transaction in the bank works. So you have also, and that's the benefit I can give the client, is information about banking, daily banking.
Yes.
So that's how we can plan your future between the mortgage and your financial situation in Israel.
That's great. So, okay, so let's say we get to the nitty-gritty of it. I've decided that I'm going to use somebody like yourself, and I want to buy a home. Now, how I come to you, and we're going to go to the bank. How does the bank determine how much I can borrow in order to buy a property in Israel?
Okay, so first of all, if you decide to work with me, you don't come with me to the bank.
Okay.
I do everything for you.
Okay.
The only time the client come to the bank is for the signature of the mortgage.
Gotcha.
Until then, I do everything.
Okay.
The first step everyone has to do before, when he thinks about buying property in Israel. And first of all, we have regulation, and how much you can borrow, it's regulated. If you're buying your first apartment in Israel, as an Oleh Hadash or an Israeli, you can borrow up to 75% from the property value, only property value, not all the expenses around.
Yes.
If you're a foreign citizen, you can borrow up to 50% maximum. So that means that you have to bring from home 50%.
Gotcha.
Now, how we get to the exact amount you can borrow, it depends also on your income.
Okay.
Because the monthly payment should represent third of your net income.
So it can't exceed a third of your monthly income.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, as an Oleh Hadash, if you have income, you live in Israel, but you have income abroad.
Okay.
We can use this as an income.
Right.
Okay?
It's important.
It's important. Also, a foreign citizen, of course, if you're a foreign citizen, so we use your income abroad, no problem.
Okay.
We'll have some document that we ask.
Yes. So you would obviously have to send documentation. Right?
Exactly, you have to supply to see. The client can send everything by email. And the most important part in getting the mortgage is the way we work together, me and the client.
Okay.
Okay? How do we collaborate?
Yes.
And if the client gives me immediately the document they need, so I can go quickly to the bank and get the approval. So it depends really on us.
How long would an approval take, for example? How long should it take you to get an approval?
For an Oleh Hadash or an Israeli with incomes in Israel, it can take between a day to a week.
Okay, so it's fairly quickly.
It's pretty quickly.
Okay.
For a foreign citizen, it can take, let's say, like 2 to 3 weeks, because they have to translate the document.
Got you. So essentially, just to sum up in that regard, so an Israeli citizen, an Oleh Hadash, or somebody in Israel buying their first apartment, they can get up to 75%. So they would have to, on their first apartment, they would have to come up with 25% of their own money.
Exactly.
For somebody, a foreign citizen living abroad, they have to provide 50%.
Exactly.
And they would be able to get 50% from an Israeli bank for that home.
Right. Now, if you're a foreign citizen, but you have an Israeli ID, Teudat Zehut, what we call.
Okay.
So for the first apartment, even though you don't live here, still you can get the 75%.
So even though you're resident in another country,
exactly.
you can still get up to 75%.
Exactly. If you have Taudat Zehut.
Got you.
Okay, an Israeli ID.
And tell me, in terms of an Ole Chadash or a foreign citizen, sometimes in the Sal Klita you get certain benefits. Would an Ole Chadash be entitled to a better rate from the bank, for example, when he goes to the bank for his first mortgage?
Okay. So in the past, the benefit for Olim Chadashim were important, but today I must say there is nothing that is interesting enough that we can get from the bank, since also the interest rates are really, really low in Israel now.
Yes.
So there is not any benefit, I would say, is like special that we'll have to use it.
Okay.
In the other hand, for a foreign citizen, a good thing I can say that he will pay exactly the same interest rate as an Israeli.
Yes, so the foreign citizen doesn't get penalized.
Exactly, he doesn't get penalized because he's not in Israel or not in Israel.
Okay, that's great.
But this is again experience and what contact the mortgage broker has in banks.
Yes. So we've covered the Ole Chadash and the foreign citizen, what mortgage they can get. Now, for you to go to the bank, what documentation would I need? Would you need from me in order to be able to go to the bank and secure the loan for me?
I get all the document by email.
Okay.
And then I go to the bank, I get the approval, I ask for the approval, and then I get to the client with the answer regarding what kind of rate we got and period and everything according to the client needs. Mm-hmm. And then the client can have to come to the bank to sign, and I will work with his lawyer about all the bureaucracy.
Yes.
Which is also very annoying if you don't speak Hebrew. So I do it for you, with your lawyer, of course. An important point is that a foreign citizen that is not in Israel and would like to have a mortgage, he can still have it by giving a power of attorney to his lawyer. Okay. You do not have to assist or to come to Israel especially for this. We can get managed.
So he doesn't even have to come here. That can all be arranged remotely?
All arranged. Now regarding the documents. If you're employed, so then the regular documents are a 3 last salary payment.
Okay.
A bank transaction of the last 3 months where we can see your salary going directly to the account, to the bank. And a photocopy of your Israeli ID.
Okay, that's for a person
this
in
is for a person in Israel.
Okay.
Now, if you're out of Israel, for example, from England, okay, we're asking for a last tax report.
Okay.
Salary payment.
Yes.
If you're independent, so a letter from your accountant regarding your income during the last year.
So that's for somebody, for example, who's self-employed?
Who is self-employed, exactly. Okay. Now, if you're employed, so the last 3 salary payments. A bank transaction from the last 3 months, we say tax report and credit score and credit report also. Okay, since in England, also in the US, they have the credit score and credit report.
Your credit rating.
Credit rating, okay? So the bank in Israel are asking for this also. Now, if you're a foreign citizen, you also have to bring a photocopy of your passport and a second ID.
Okay.
Okay, second ID, like driving license or...
so you have to present at least 2 forms of identification.
Exactly.
Got you.
Okay, we'll have, a client that will contact me, would like me to do the mortgage, I will send him a list with the exact documents.
So again, that's the benefit of using somebody who knows the system and can navigate the system for you.
Right.
Great. Let me ask you, can you explain to us what is an Ishur Ikroni?
Ishur Ikroni is the approval, the first approval that you get in the bank. Once I will apply for a mortgage and I will get an approval, it will be Ishur Ikroni. Because sometimes you get the approval before you buy the property.
Right, so you want to know that you can secure the loan and you can see what sort of price range you should be looking at. Okay.
After you sign the contract, we'll get the final approval.
Yes.
Okay, but you can say that the אישור עקרוני, like temporary approval,
yes,
is quite enough to feel comfortable to go and sign a contract.
I'm confident that the bank will give you a loan against that property.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Now, if I see a client that has a little bit a situation like different, not regular, I will go and ask for 2 banks to give me approval.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can do this. You can approach 2 banks.
Of course. I have to work with a few banks for each client.
Yes.
In order to get the best interest rate.
Gotcha.
Even though I'm in banks, I know them, they know me. If I will not have 2 approvals at least,
yes,
I will not have the best interest rate.
How long is that valid for? How long does it allow me
Let's say for 3 months.
Okay, so it's about a 3-month period,
yes,
and then you would have to, if you don't find anything, you would have to reapply.
I think it's better to ask for the mortgage, אישור עקרוני, what you said, when we start talking about a property that we saw and we like it.
Yes.
Just to go and to put a request for a mortgage and not to do it, I don't think it's a waste of time.
So generally 3 months would be sufficient.
Exactly.
If you already have an idea of what you're looking at.
3 months is sufficient.
So now I have my insurer and I've now found my property. Do I have to get an appraisal to get the mortgage?
Okay. So regarding the appraisal, there is 2 options.
Okay.
One is to take the appraisal when you found the property.
Okay.
And you know that you want to purchase it and you want to feel comfortable about the price.
Yes.
Okay. But this is going to cost a few thousand of shekels. It depends on the value of the property.
Right.
In the other hand, usually when we go to the appraisal is after we get the approval, the final approval. After the client signed the contract, then the bank will give us like a letter with the list that the bank will pick from his list of appraisals. It will take like 3 to 5 appraisals.
Okay.
And then we'll have to take one of this list.
So you select one from the list and they will do the appraisal.
And they will go and do the appraisal and the price will be much lower, okay? Much lower than if you go directly.
Okay.
Now, an important, very important point about the evaluation.
Yes.
If, for example, a client wants to get 75% from the property purchase price, it really depends also about the value that the appraisal will give.
Right.
If the appraisal will agree for the price of the purchase, so you'll get 75%.
Okay.
If the appraisal will evaluate it a little bit lower, so the bank will calculate the 75% from the evaluation of the appraisal. So you have a little risk that you might have to bring a little bit more money.
I got you. So actually, if let's say for some reason the seller and the potential buyer agree on a price that's maybe slightly inflated, for some reason he really wants the property, the person is asking more, I may not necessarily get 75% loan against that purchase price. It really goes against what the appraiser says is the value of the property.
Exactly.
Okay, that's very important to remember.
Now, if the appraisal, it's a very important point to understand. That's why it's good to discuss before purchasing the property and like plan all this deal from the financial side. Also, if the appraisal will evaluate the property more than the purchase price, you will get maximum the purchase price.
Okay, so the bank will only ever give you 75% of the purchase price or the lower appraisal, but never the higher appraisal.
Right.
Okay. Right. All right. Okay, great. So we've spoken about buying the house. We've talked about getting the appraisal. That's obviously going to cost you extra money. Are there any what other sorts of costs? If I'm buying a house, what other sorts of costs am I looking at?
Okay, so I'll talk the cost of bank side,
yes.
okay, financial side,
yes.
because tax issues, it's lawyers.
Correct.
I won't go into it.
That's fine.
If you're a Chadash, you have also benefits,
yes.
but I will not go to issues that lawyers should speak. But regarding the mortgage, so we have the appraisal
yes.
that can, like the price can be between like 500 shekel to 2,000 shekel
okay.
or more.
Okay.
It depends on the property,
right.
but the average is not more than 1,000 shekel.
Okay, so it's not too
huge.
huge.
The average.
Right.
The bank fees are 0.25%
okay.
from the loan amount.
Yes.
Usually my clients get like 50% redemption from this commission.
Okay.
Okay? Even sometimes more, it depends.
Great.
And the other are really stamp duty,
right.
like official official legal.
Yes, the legal
okay?
documentation.
Legal documentation, which can be altogether not more than 500 shekel.
Okay, so again, we're not talking about exorbitant extra costs
no.
around the mortgage.
Exactly.
Okay. So I've now had it appraised. I'm going to buy the house. Can you give us a little bit of information? Do I need to take insurance
yes.
now on this property?
Yes. Once you do the mortgage, you'll have, before you get the money from the bank, the money goes directly to the seller.
Okay.
It will not go to the borrower, okay?
Gotcha.
Now, before you get the money, you'll have to supply the bank and life insurance.
Okay.
And
home insurance.
Home insurance.
Okay.
Okay? Which I take care also of all of this.
You also provide that service
exactly.
of finding this.
Exactly. If someone is a Chadash and knows insurance agent, it can go directly to him.
Yes.
But most of the people, when they're Olim Chadashim and when they're foreign citizens, they
yes.
don't know anyone in
sure.
Israel. So I really take care of all the needs of the mortgage.
Okay.
I'm not just here to get the approval and that's it.
Yes.
I'm here for you to get the money.
Yes.
In the end, you'll get the money. That's why I'm here, and I'm taking care of all the process.
Okay. So that includes the two
yes.
forms of insurance that I'm
exactly.
And I'm legally obligated to take both of those. Obviously, the bank wants to keep itself covered, and so it requires me to take life insurance.
Exactly.
And home insurance is also compulsory.
Compulsory is what?
You have to. It's obligatory to take.
Obligatory.
To take it? Okay.
Yes.
Got you. Can you tell us a little bit? Are there different types of loans and rates in Israel, yes. or is it fairly standard?
No. So an important point, we're talking now is 2021 because I know maybe someone will see it in the future. But I'm talking about now, the interest rate in Israel are the lowest
yes.
ever,
okay.
ever. And I'm like 30 years in banking, so
okay.
I have a lot of experience.
Yes.
Now, the interest rates are also regulated in a way that the client has to take a part of the loan,
okay.
of the mortgage, in a fixed rate.
Okay.
And the other part will be variable.
Okay, explain.
For example, you have to get a third of the mortgage
yes.
in a fixed rate.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
The fixed rate for 30 years today can be between 2.9 to 3.5 or 3.8.
By the way, sorry to interrupt you. Is that 30 years? Is that the maximum? Is that the maximum
yes.
length of time that they will give
yes.
you a mortgage for? Is 30 years?
Good question.
Okay.
Yes, the maximum is 30 years. The fixed rate is influenced by the period.
Okay.
So if you take 30 years, you might pay 3.5 fixed.
Okay.
If you take 15 years, you'll pay maybe 2.5.
Right. So right.
So, but that's something we'll discuss with the client,
yes.
and which also will be influenced by his income.
Because obviously, the shorter the period you take, the higher your monthly
exactly.
repayment. So it's what you can afford.
First, what you can afford, and second, what do you want?
What do you want to afford?
If you want to afford yes. a large amount or a smaller amount,
right.
so
depends if you want to pay it off quicker or you want to take,
So when some of the type of loans are variable, in a way that can change every month. But the variable interest rate will even be lower. It will start, let's say, around 1%.
Okay.
So you have a risk, but still you start at 1%, 2% less than the other parts. So I would take this risk.
Okay.
Now, of course, with the client, we'll go into all the type of loans.
Yes.
And again, I have to find what's best to the client.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we won't go into each one of types of loan.
So we talked a little bit about that 30-year term. Is it possible to, let's say I take it for 30 years, I take initially a 30-year loan. Is it possible for me to shorten it? Let's say I get a better job, or I get more income, or I come into some money or something like that. Is it possible for me to shorten that loan and reduce my payment?
Okay, two options.
Okay.
One, if you get money and you want to pay back the loan, 2/3 of the loan will be without any penalty.
Yes.
1/3 you have a risk to have penalty.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you want to shorten the
term, yeah.
The period.
Yes.
We can refinance the loan, because now if you have a higher income, we can go to the bank and say, okay, now I can pay more every month.
Yes.
But it means that we'll have to refinance the loan. It's not something that we can ask to do in the existing loan.
So you can't, within that loan, it's not flexible in that you can suddenly, you can just make adjustments within that same loan.
It's not flexible to do in the loan directly. We'll have to refinance, and it's a good opportunity maybe to get a better interest rate.
Got you.
Also, excuse me, an important part when we talk about interest rate, the interest rate will be influenced also from how much you borrow from the value of the property.
Okay.
If you borrow 50%, you'll have a better interest rate than if you borrow 75%.
Got you, because they're lending you more money.
More money, exactly. Now, I must say that for my client, even for 75%, I get a very good interest rate. And that's also why it's better to have a mortgage broker.
Understand.
Yeah.
Before we came on the interview, you were telling me something very interesting regarding, especially people living overseas. You were saying that obviously during Corona there was a lot of people not coming and doing Zoom calls, and you told me something very interesting, that it's almost possible for you to do a deal on behalf of somebody living abroad without them even having to come to Israel.
Exactly. We can have a Zoom meeting for like the first meeting, discuss the issue of the financial part. The client, I assume if he will come to me, so maybe has already a property that he would like to purchase. And I get all the documents by email. If the client does not have even an account in Israel, I'm able to open the account
so you can
do the mortgage without the client coming to Israel at all.
Wow.
Okay? Somebody should sign on his behalf with a power of attorney, let's say, or his lawyer, or a relative that he has in Israel that can just be ready to come whenever I need him to sign, and he will
So he can appoint somebody to sign on his behalf.
Exactly. But I know to do everything without the client presence.
Great.
It's possible.
Eva, before we let you go, is there anything maybe that we haven't touched upon, or something, some kind of tip or some kind of information that you would like to add that you could, to either to an Oleh or to somebody overseas that would be helpful for them?
Right. Okay. So we didn't speak about the age of the borrower. Okay. This is an important part also, because if you're 65 years old, you can borrow for 15 years.
Yes.
Now, if you want to borrow for 15 years, are your income sophisticated?
Yes.
So we'll have to check. If you're a young person and you just came to Israel and you don't have any income yet, or you live abroad, your parents can be with you borrower. They don't have to buy the property with you. Okay, but we can do a combination between
So your parents can stay in surety for you?
Exactly, between children and parents, both sides. Okay, and do the mortgage. Sometimes if someone is 70 years old, his son or daughter can join him as a borrower,
Okay.
and then we can do the loan for a larger time.
So at a certain point, that 30-year limit becomes shorter. They won't do a loan for 30 years for somebody from a specific age.
Exactly.
What age would that be? Like once you turn 50 or 60?
I would say 65, 70.
Okay, so then then the limit would drop from 30 years to 15 years?
Yeah, it depends now also on the income of the client.
Yes.
If his income is enough, so no problem.
Right.
But what I want client to understand, Olim Hadashim, Israeli and foreign citizen, is that I want you to stay with open mind.
Yes.
And don't think that things cannot be done. Okay? Think everything can be done.
Right.
Ask me what you want.
Yes.
Let me tell you that something is impossible after I checked everything.
Okay.
Okay? I don't want people to because some people think that they're foreign citizen, so they cannot have a loan in Israel.
Yes.
Yes, they can. Okay? So I say everything is possible.
Okay.
Ask. Just ask for it.
Perfect.
Okay? This is the way I work.
Great. Eva, thank you so much for your time
You're
today.
welcome.
It's been really informative and very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching.